Good afternoon. So what we've got here is a sun tiger, or I think it was a sun tiger or king, or it's king stone. It's on this plastic base. It's a 10,000 grit stone. It's a beautiful stone. It does a really good job. Didn't think I needed it, but when I bought it, it became the best stone to finish on, and it gets it really sharp. Do I need to strop? No, not really. Do I strop sometimes? Yes, I do. But what's happening lately, we're down to about 8mm thickness now. What's happening now is as I'm using this, I can feel the stone wobbling a bit this way and that way. So I don't know whether some of the glue they've used has started coming away, but it's got this structure underneath that isn't brilliant. And it's time I cut it away. So I can't put a chisel or a screwdriver in here and prise it off. I can't do that. I've actually got to cut away the plastic. So I can either do this with the bandsaw. I think I'll do it with the bandsaw. So I'll catch you back here in a sec and we'll see what the bandsaw can do. Right, so before you all start going mad, this is an old bandsaw blade and it's ready to come off. So you can see what I've already reduced. I've already got down to, I've got rid of these bits and pieces which aren't much good. So now I'm down to this, and now I'm just going to put a piece of wood here to give me a bit more stability through this, and then we'll take it from there. Right, now you can see we're getting somewhere. So it's pain to do this. I've just found as well that that's slowly coming away from there. So I'm going to move you guys back to the bench I mean, look at this. Right, let's get you back on the bench and then where you can see what's happening. Right, got a bit more light on here just so that we can see what's going on. Right, so I've got rid of this structure which was doing it okay but it'll be, you know, it's managed up until now, but it is really getting quite, it's getting to the point where I'm thinking, do I buy a new stone? So now I've just got this to get over, and if you can see in there, where do you want me? You want me there. So I'm very carefully just going to pull that away. I don't want to put any pressure on this stone at all. I might just take a cut through there and remove part of this. Just take a cut through there. If I keep that flat, I'm happy with the stone being flat and bending the plastic. I'm happier doing that. So lifting it, you probably can't see very well. So lifting it, and I can hear it delaminate. There you go. I can hear it coming off. I think I've got it. I think I've got it. Stone on the bench, flat. Don't want to risk bending that stone at all. Hear it? Brilliant. Brilliant. There we go. So that's all that held the stone down. Now you can see why it's wobbling. There's a bit of thickness there and there's no thickness there. And if they'd have done a better job of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, would have been better than 1, 2, 3, 4. Brilliant. Right, next job. Let's start cleaning the back of this up. This lot can go in the bin. And let's start cleaning that off the back of there. Can you see that all right? At least there's no flickering, so I've just put a light on the bench as well so you can see better. So if you've not got an old chisel, then you need to have old chisels around. I wouldn't want to use a lovely chisel on this. This is an old Isaac Sorby I've had for a while. You've probably seen it before, Damson handle, the one that I'm trying to flatten the back of, but that little corner there is still, I'll get there one day. So anyhow, put it on there, just a slight angle, so it's not flat, it's just up a few degrees, maybe 5 degrees. I'm just going to go straight in for the adhesive. And with a shearing type, there you go, that'll do it. And now I can feel that it feels like silicone. It feels like a silicone sealant, bathroom sealant type stuff. Looking at it, it's white. I thought it was clear, but it's such a thin film. So there you go, there's the first bit. Can you? There's the first bit, and it's yucky. But look at that. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Turn it around, get all this muck off the back, and go down the other side. Notice the sort of shearing motion, like the way a pair of scissors works. Just shear a little bit at a time. There you go. There's the next one. Yeah, it's pretty yucky. But it's good to get it off the bottom of here. So, Jamie, what are you going to do with this stone next? How are you going to hold it? Don't know. How do I hold all my other stones? Let's just get the back of this clean. So I'm just going to scrape from the end. Oh, I can feel this. You can see the speed that the silicone's lubricating the chisel going over it. So it's dragging there. And I've just measured this, and we were, what were we before, 8.5 mil, and we're now 9.6 mil. So that's great. So there was a certain amount of that hidden inside the well of the recess of the base. But if that base isn't supportive enough for you, it's got to go. So I don't think I've seen anybody do this. Well, I haven't seen anybody do this. And I was going to get on with the camera, but I needed to do some sharpening first. Brilliant. Well, there you go. There you go. My stone is happy. The good thing is now I could put that straight onto, I could use it straight on here, on a piece of wood. Do you want to see how I do my sharpening? I'll go and, hang on there a sec. I'll go and get the, how I sharpen. How's that? Happy? Right, let's go through a few things then. Let's start with my first stone. Got to start somewhere, and this was my first stones. It's a King 1200. Can you see? I don't know. Can you see? Yeah, you can. King 1200. And this, when I first had it, bearing in mind I bought this in the 80s. When I first had this was about, I'm going to say it was over 1.5 inches. No, it was about 1.5 inches, about 38 mil, 39 mil. I'm now down to 1.16 inches, 27 mil, and it's still great. And it came with a funny, in fact, it wasn't that one. That didn't come on a base, that just came as a block, and that's great. I made this. So this is, shall I show you? This is my little stand. It's got little runoffs for water at the back here, little runoffs for water. It's a bit messy, but it dries out. Anyhow, goes on the bench, and I either put a screw in, there's a screw hole there, or cramp it down. And that's my 1200 grit, that fits in there. So there you go. Use it, abuse it. Well, don't abuse it, but use it, it's great. Then was my 6000 grit. So my 6000 grit had an incident with frost, and this crack and this is all due to the water in my shed when we went down to -5 or 6 or whatever. And on defrosting that happened, and I was pretty devastated. This was attached to a wooden board, a wooden base. And just like I've removed the base from that 10,000 grit, I cut the wooden base away and I stuck it to some corian. So these manufactured kitchen worktops, if you can get offcuts off them, they're great. So I used an epoxy, I glued it back together, glued it flat and straight. And this, when I first got this back in the mid-80s, was about 12 mil. I'm now at about 5.5 mil, but I still use it. It still gets used. It still gets the treatment that you do with Waterstones, with rubbing them together. And I still do that I use a diamond occasionally now, but I still use the method that I learnt in the 80s, which was that each stone rubs against itself, and you swap the stones over and you use the next one, and you flatten them off under a running tap with each other, and that stops them, especially with this thing, that stops them getting out of control and stops the base, it stops the surface from moving. So once I've got that one in there and that one used, bearing in mind you can see I still haven't used the back of that, I've only used one side. I wasn't prepared to let this get hollow and then turn it over. Don't do any of that stuff that the old boys used to do with oil stones. It's got one surface that gets used and flattened off. So that's that stone, 1200. 6000. When I glued this onto here, I made it fit in there. So now I've got one carrier for 2 stones. So that's handy. So that's those 2. Right, let's get to the one I've just cut the base off, that plastic base. This stone is about 5 years old, and it's getting thinner. It was about 12 mil. It's wearing quite thick actually, quite fast. When you compare to the old stones over here, their wear has been quite slow. So it just shows again that maybe the modern things, the modern stones and things are wearing quicker because they want you to buy another one. That's usually that sort of thing. This could, if I wanted to, and I might be tempted, it would need 1 millimetre off there, and it would need 2 millimetres off there, and it would fit in there. So what do you think? Do you think that's worth doing? Do you think I should do that? I think that might be. Anyhow, Jamie, what did you do before that? Well, before that, I used to use these things. And these, again, like that one would be held down. And that plastic base used to go in there. And I've got these little things here. I've got V on there, and I've got a 1 on there. So the V board, which is this one, that goes to there. And that brings it back up to square. And as you knock the wedge in, that would make it tighter, and that would have locked the plastic base in there. So that's that. This is another base here, and this one has been used for mainly for diamond stones. And let me grab the diamond thing so you can see the diamond setup I've got. Right, so there's the diamond, and I've not fine-tuned this. I've just put it in there, and I just use it like that, and we just flatten the back, set it up, and hone on there, and that's okay. That's all right. I think it's now time to sort some of these bits out. So maybe I'll do something with this in a bit to sort it out. Right, let's get to the last stone. This is my little experiment. This stone was bought a few weeks ago for £14.13, which I'm going to guess is about $10. Is it worth getting? Is it worth having? So this is an experiment, really. Don't forget, I've got that one to compare it to. This is a great old stone, and I'm so glad I didn't throw it away. But I want to use this, and you can see I've been using these already. There's some dirt and there's some slurry on there, and it's dried out a bit. But you know, is it worth using sometimes between grits, between the 6,000 and 10? Couple of rubs on the 8,000 could do. Finish on 8,000. It doesn't matter. If I'm planing a load of pine or chiseling pine, do I need to go to 10,000? I could take the pressure off that stone by using this cheap one. I can keep this in true by rubbing it over my diamond. So there is a place for these stones, but we'll keep an eye on that. So if you subscribe, you can we can catch up every now and then and see where we're going. So this is my sharpening setup. I'm not going to do sharpening today. I just wanted to discuss this and how that is. I'm in two minds over this. I either cut it down, which seems a shame, just in case it might crack on cutting down. But looking at the sides of this from the bandsaw, you can see it's already, and that bandsaw blade's got to come off now. So it might cut down all right. Or I can glue it to a bit of something like Corian or Avonite or one of the other manufacturers of these aluminium oxide kitchen surfaces, and I could make that fit there, glue that to that. In fact, I prefer that. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a piece of, and shall I do it now? Where are you? How are you at? You all right for a minute? Oh, you've got the wobbles. Right, let's tidy up a bit. So what I've done now is I've cut this piece of Corian down. Did it on my circular saw. You can use a circular saw for it, and a crosscut saw. You've got to take it very carefully. And I haven't shown it because I don't feel the need to show it. I think if you want to, you need to see what the rules and regs are in your country to work out whether it's safe for you to do so. You need to have experience, I would say, before you do things like that. Anyhow, that's done. It's a great piece of, it's a great colour. So thank you to Mark for that. Oh, while we're here doing thank yous, buy me a coffee. Thank you very much. I've got a note here So from Simon, thank you very much, Simon, for buying me 3 coffees, and Philip Fenez, thank you very much. So you're the first 2 people in May to buy me a coffee. I don't do these videos. I don't get adverts on these videos or anything yet, but if some of this is of use, then I'd appreciate if you buy me a coffee. So that now fits in there. So that fits the same as that one fits, and fits the same as this one fits. So now you're getting the gist of it now. Everything is going to fit in this one stand. I've had it for so many years now. It's not worth coming up with a new method. It works great. So that's going to go into there, and I'm going to score the back of this, and I'm going to score the back of that, and I'm going to put some epoxy. I'm going to hold this down with epoxy on there, and it will just overhang slightly, but I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. That's good. So let's see what let's see where you are. Oh, you can see what's going on. So from here you can see what I see now. So that stone's going to be on there. That's great. It is a great way of holding your stones. Everything fits in there. Don't ever worry about breaking the Waterstone. This epoxy, Araldite in the UK, don't buy a cheap one. Don't buy a cheap epoxy, Araldite or nothing. You can't even feel that. It's been done so many years. There is no sign of that at all. And people will say, oh, you'll feel it. No, look, the corner came off as well. That corner came off once. So I'll now be able to sort one of these 2 bases out to just do my diamond stone. Probably be that one. Well, there you go. I've answered the question, haven't I? So that can go in there. That can go in there. There you go. That's my, just squeeze it in. That's my diamond stone held. Put it in there. So there you go. This can go in the bin. That's great. And maybe I'll make another piece of, Corian. Oh, I can't, can I? Because that might need a just a film around it, or I'll just use, when I say film, a ring, or I'll just use this rubber thing it came with. We could do that. Right, a bit longer than I expected. To all those people that have bought me coffee, thank you very much. Those encouragement, thank you very much. It makes such a difference. It feels really good. I'm feeling quite comfortable with it all now. And we're getting somewhere. The idea was to get on with the camera today, but with sharpening stuff going on, I needed to resolve this. I need to get out of the way. So I think what I'll do now is glue it. So for all those people who've already gone, they're going to miss gluing it. So we're going to glue this now, and we're going to get it sorted. So bear with me. You still with me? Right, let's sort this out then. So, first thing I'm going to do, here's my Araldite. I must say as well, when you're getting your Japanese stones, make sure you get a Nagura stone. It creates the builds up the slurry, and it does improve the cutting. It's worth having, and it's a great little stone on its own as well. You might find other uses for it, pen knives, all sorts of things. Make sure you get a Nagura. So if you get a stone and it just got a free Nagura, or even if it's just a couple of pound more, just get it, because they can be 6 or 7 or 8 pounds themselves, or 12. Right, this thing's back, this lovely old chisel. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to score the back of my stone. And I can feel it taking the corner off the chisel, which is, I'm having to change the angles because, can you hear the difference? Once I've done it 2 or 3 times, it's actually polishing the edge. Poor old chisel. It'll get there one day. Right, so that's done. And that's been drying. I must say that stone has been drying for the last, probably the last 4 or 5 days. I've let it dry out. So now this one side I've been using for something, so the other side is going to be the side for scratching up. And I'm scratching this up because I don't know when they've made things with this kitchen worktop. I don't know whether they've got some sort of finish on it or whatever. So I need to make sure it grips. Just remember, we're not doing a thick coating here. We're not after a thick layer. And the other thing is, they used silicone, which is quite rubbery and bouncy. I'm using an epoxy which will set hard, so I don't want to. I don't need it to be a thick coat, and it can just sit here, and I can just bed it in. And I'll be back in a. Yeah, I'll be back in a sec. You don't need to watch this, do you? Oh, go on. I know you want to. Right. Araldite, 2-part epoxy, 1 bead. My tip here is always turn it up and pull it away, and then squeeze the tube a bit, which pulls it back inside, so when you put the top on, the lid on, it doesn't go all gungy and horrible. Keep it as upright as you can. Get the second one, squeeze it next to it, push it off like that, squeeze the tube so that it draws it in, get the lid back on, tighten it up. This is my other top tip, only take the top part of that away, so now that can stand up somewhere and I don't need to worry about that. So, small amount of araldite, don't need much. Oh, do you think I should have used more? Probably. Right, let's get this thing done. So, do I put a film or blobs? Well, you know what? I'm happy to go with a few blobs. It's nice to use it all up. As you can see, I've done other things on here. Right, that's that done. So now I'm going to bed that onto there, and I'm going to just bed it in like that. Put some weight on it. In fact, the way to do it would be to put the weight on there. Move it backwards and forwards. Don't know whether you can see that, but I'm just gently moving it backwards and forwards. And now I'm going to look down on it and see if I've got an even gap all the way around. Well, I say gap, there isn't a gap there. So I've obviously put the right amount on because it isn't oozing out the side everywhere. And it doesn't. There's a bit oozed out there and there. That's great. Okay, that's it. So what I can do now is leave that to dry. Leave that to dry, and then however it dries, the next thing to do is flatten this off again so that it's flat, and that's it. Stones are ready to use. That goes in there, that drops in there like so. Equal that around it, stone's ready to go. So that wasn't too bad, was it? Job done for me, so I'm happy with that. This is going to be great. The fact that I've just got one to use. So there's a spare one of these boards knocking around. So Gary, if you want it, or anybody else that comes to my workshops, I do one-day workshops. I do workshops over a month, and people come to my workshops and learn furniture making and all sorts of things. Yeah, they've supported me a lot through COVID, so it's been tough, but we're getting there. We're getting there. It's pretty good. Won't be too long before I start bringing more people in, and then maybe have 2-3 people in, 2 people, 3 people. We'll see. All socially distanced stuff and everything, so that's good. Anyhow, that's done. That's a big job off the list, because that job has been a pain in the neck job for ages that I've just thought I really need to do it, and last few weeks it's driven me around the bend. Lesson learned. So don't forget, if you like the video, buy me a coffee. I really do appreciate it. You'll get your name mentioned, and everybody will know that you've been supportive, which is great. And I'll catch you on the next one, which should be very soon. Don't forget to subscribe and like and share and tell your friends and all the other things that you're supposed to do.